recognize the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. King, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me see. I'd almost tempted to yield my time back to Mr. Johnson, but
Come on.
instead, before I forget, I have some documents I'd like to ask consent to enter into the record. The first one is from Mr. Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit, St. Louis, and he's the one who I think initiated the beginnings of this hearing today. He has taken a pretty hard hit himself in multiple different ways, and I've watched as his views have gone from been dropped down from 33%. Facebook page was 33% of the overall views, down to 3%.
That's right.
1/11 of what it was. That would be evidence of censorship, in my opinion. A number of other comments in there that I'd like to introduce that into the record, along with a Christian publisher says Google banned it over faith we express, which illustrates that quoting the Bible can get you censored in this country. And there are multiple charts here delivered by a Gateway Pundit of other, here's Gateway Pundit's traffic, here's the President's traffic, which the gentleladies expressed in their testimony, the Young Conservatives traffic, which went from around 5.75 million down to essentially nothing, and in a similar period of time, multiple other sites, conservative sites, all of them, the graphics and the charts, it's the best material out here that quantifies this impact, I think, produced by Mr. Jim Hoft. And I hope that one day he can come and testify before this Congress as well, because my private conversation with him has been very powerful, and I ask unanimous consent to introduce these documents into the record. In hearing, no objection.
That objection be made part of the record.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And now, where do I go with this? My first thoughts are this, that I'm thinking about a situation like Jim Hoft and Gateway Pundit, the fourth most influential conservative pundit throughout the last election cycle, watching his traffic be cut to 1/11 of what it was just on Facebook alone. Yeah. And I don't see that Jim Hoft has as much television presence, perhaps, as our Diamond and Silk have. So I wanted to ask you, Ms. Hardaway, or you, Ms. Richardson, if you didn't have a spot on Fox News, if you had to rely on just watching your traffic go down on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter and wherever else, would you have a chance to have a voice to express this, or could it be that because you had another outlet, this issue came up far enough that now America's watching?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because we had another outlet, because the certain Republicans spoke out about it and took up for the little voices like ourselves is how this came to light.
That's
if
right.
not, we would, when they deemed us unsafe to the community, it would have been that. They told us we couldn't appeal it, we would have been out. And this is what happened oftentimes with people in our country, particularly minorities, where these big giants, they take and they put their feet on your neck. They pull the rug right up from under you and then dare you to move. You know, they tell us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But how can we do that when they take those same straps and use them to hang us out to dry? That is not fair, and that's got to stop in this country. And it stops today.
With everybody.
You know, I really appreciate the way you look at the American dream. I want my right to earn the American dream.
That's right. That's right.
And is there any difference in your mind between, say, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, those, we'll call them utilities, not necessarily public utilities, but utilities? Is there any difference between them and, let's say, UPS and FedEx? If you're making your living selling things and shipping it out on FedEx, is that any different than it is making your living by pitching a message out through Facebook?
Absolutely, because listen, they have these platforms to have it where you can monetize. You can make money off of these platforms. So if you're building your brand and you're pumping money into building your brand, it is not fair for somebody to change the rules in the middle of the game. And I think that's what's happening with the American people, some of them. You change the rules in the middle of the game, and then people are left out to dry. That's not fair.
Let me clarify this question. What if you're producing a product, and maybe it's home little garage factory or a larger factory, and you're shipping that product out on FedEx, and FedEx decides you're conservative, so we're not going to deliver your product to your customers. Is there a difference between what's going on with Facebook and what would be going on under that circle?
Well, that would be, to me, discrimination.
Yeah, it's on both, discrimination on both sides.
On both sides. And listen,
Right.
wait a minute. This is for all voices. No voices should be censored.
None.
And this could be bipartisan. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. The deal is that no voices should be silenced, and you should not be discriminating. If it's a platform to express all ideas, express all ideas.
All ideas.
Not just one side.
That's
not
right.
just put it where it's one-sided, where I'm just seeing liberal views, where you have my account deemed liberal when I'm very conservative. I am a Republican, but you don't have that up there. And why are you making those decisions for me? Why didn't you give us the opportunity to put in what we are, our political affiliation? And what does our political affiliation have to do with Facebook? Just think about that.
I want to let you know that I tweeted you out to see if you were blocked on mine, and you're still alive on my Twitter. So thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. I yield back.
Would the gentleman yield for?
I would